Welcome, everybody. Welcome to what are we? BeoTalk 255.
That's right.
We're back
After
again. Leave a like and subscribe and all that if you haven't yet. I don't know how to do this anymore.
get around rusty.
It's like if you're thrown into water and you haven't swam and you start doing that. Also, if you want to keep our sort of lights on while we're moving and stuff, super chat is always very much appreciated. Hope you guys missed us. Oh yeah, shilling. Huh?
Yeah, get into that.
We have a Substack. Oh, I deleted the link. Good. Anyway, go subscribe on our Substack.
This is all scripted, people.
We put so much effort into it.
Oh God.
And go buy something off a Skinny Play. And get 10% off if you use the promo code, which is always nice. And thank you to Skinny Play. And we have a Discord link, so if you want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest, the only thing that's been running in the time we were gone, it was Discord.
Yeah, but it's a good resource for information, that's for sure, for a lot of things.
Oh yeah, if software goes wonky, you'll be the first to know on Discord.
Yeah, so that's good.
I mean, sometimes it seems before dealers even. So, yeah, there's that, and good stuff, and
the good old Prestige.
Yeah, no, that ended March 31st. But always.
He's still in business.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, if you wanted a discount, you're late.
Too late for that.
Yeah, so if you want to know about leaks and that sort of thing, go to the Discord. It's all there. Who was it? Mike M. What's in is that thumbnail image? That's a Beosound 2 Mark III, which is
Mozart.
Yes, but somehow we're not supposed to know or talk about it.
Okay, well, nobody's watching us anyways.
So it's up on the main website, right? But if you as a dealer put it up on your website, you get told no by B&O. Like, you can't do that. It's not out yet.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going to go look right now. Speakers, home audio.
Because I was at my dealer, and since there was a whole product launch, paper launch, so this is the website, and there was a whole press release and God knows what else. It's not out yet, and it hasn't launched yet, so if you as a dealer put it up on your website, no, you cannot do that. It's not out yet. It's still somehow under NDA.
Interesting.
So it's I don't really get this reasoning at all, because it's on the bloody homepage.
Doesn't mention anything about it here in Canada.
Yeah, well, I was at my dealer to get boxes for 50s and stuff.
Mm.
I'll be getting those Thursday. And yeah, he sort of mentioned it in passing because I asked him about it, and he's like, so I put it up on my website and I got an angry call, like, take it off. And he's like, why? It's like, it's not out yet. And he's like, but it's on your website. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
That's silly.
So, yeah, I really don't know what's going on there somehow. It seems like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing, sort of deal.
But yeah, I don't see any of that on the Canadian side of things. So
it's a bit odd. And then, I mean, I could have used all the leaked images of the product that's soon to come, but out of respect, we won't, because apparently this image that's on their main website is leaked.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it's interesting. I'm quite interested how that Mozart is going to turn out, because sometimes it's funny, especially like the A9s as well now, the Mark V, whatever they are. They get a little funky with the Mozart. and I'm not sure why. So I don't know.
So it's a,
The time will tell as far as what that goes out.
yes, I mean, so far it's quite good. I have been slightly out of it and only just been halfway keeping an eye on Discord.
Mm,
And thank you, Max, for being the main mod in the time I'm away.
yeah,
Not
yeah. I
that
looked
we
here and there.
really.
Doesn't really need to be that policed. I was looking at it too, and it's a pretty mature debate playground, I guess I would say.
Yeah, and we're at. What are we at now? We're at. Hey.
Does anybody in the chat, or more or less whoever's watching, if you can leave a comment later, I guess, when you see this, does anybody have more than 3 Beo remotes, one paired into the Beo Sound Theater?
Why? What does it do?
It drops one randomly. So usually the one that you use, and you have to put it down and get the other one, and then that one will eventually, after like 15-20 minutes, reconnect. And ever since they done the update to save the battery, right? Because it's a battery, it's not the Beo Remote One chassis issue or whatever. It's the actual connection that is looping, I guess, between the theater and the Beo Remote One, which they fixed, quote unquote, in the last software. So now instead of being responsive like lightning fast, it's sometimes I press my button and it takes 3 to 5 seconds to change. Not change, to just activate, like if the theater is in standby per se, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I leave the remote that is on my bedside, right, that I can just take it off. Or like if I'm in bed, to turn the volume down, it takes like 15 presses before it wakes up. So I'm just curious if,
odd. That sounds like how it was in the very beginning.
And I've unpaired all the remotes. I've factory reset all the remotes. I've unpaired it from the Emerge as well, and redone each remote one after another. And I waited. I also suggest, if you're pairing more than one remote on your job or install, or even if you have to reset all your shit, don't push the remotes one after another, like right away. Like wait at least 1 minute before you start pairing another remote, and let it synchronize and download all this stuff that it needs to. Because one of my remotes now is missing the options and screen. It still has the stand and speaker.
Okay.
It's just odd how it behaves. That, and also I think that the request for change that I've seen on the BOIs, I think they should implement that soon, or rather sooner than later, because you shouldn't be calling it speaker. It should be called listening preset or listening position instead of speaker, because they don't want you to call it speaker or speaker group. It's a listening position, so it should be named that way in the remote control now. You should change that. So that's as far as my feedback is, observing it for last few weeks now, playing with it, and since the last software came out. I do run the beta
Again?
and no, I haven't gone out yet. I'm lazy. I'm suffering well, I guess. But I do have a DSP problems. Like there is a little bit of crackle every now and then on certain. It's mostly Amazon Prime that is really weird. Netflix I didn't try because I don't have an account anymore. But in Amazon Prime movies, I have to go out of true image and go into the direct mode to get proper surround, because it kills the center channel completely. Like it's almost not there.
Weird.
Yeah, it's very annoying. And then when the music comes on or whatever the effects, it's just like the whole apartment fucking.
That sounds like there's something wrong with True Image then.
Maybe there is something wrong. I don't know. Maybe I just need to finally eat the bullet or bite the bullet, I guess, and factory reset it and start from scratch and retune it again, and maybe go out of beta and see what happens for a few weeks.
Jolly.
Well, I chose the life of living with it like that, because at the end of the day, I out of all the people, I do need to know what's wrong and what the issues are and how to fix those. And there's still a couple of quirks that are happening with the theater for sure. But bar none, it is the best product that they had ever come up with, in my opinion, ever. 90s were great, and they are great, but they're inaccessible to masses. This is absolutely sick. And actually, I don't know if Stefan, you're watching, because he now has a theater with 418s.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped him off a subwoofer Lab 19 yesterday.
Sweet.
Makes very minimal difference. We tuned in a few different locations, and the way the theater plays and the way the acoustics are in his apartment, like it's either really bass heavy on one side because you can't really place it. There's so many limitations. And if you do the quadraphonic with the theater as a subwoofer, there is really no difference. It's weird.
I noticed that here a little bit because I'm stupid enough to also have a 19.
I know. So, like,
but what I mostly noticed is that out of the box tuning, the 19 is very quiet.
Oh, it's tame.
As in, when you look at the dB level, it auto sets at, it's like -10 or something, which is like non-existent. That's so.
No, but even if we cranked it up, even through the app to crank it up and whatever, it was either too very heavy on one side, or it just didn't really work that well. But the reason why is just because the theater has enough power to hold its own ground. So, yeah, I agree with you, Miami dude. That store is there is a new one. I don't know if he's opened it yet or not, but it's across the street. So that's the one I'm gonna be probably at some point working at. Get out of this fucking French country here.
Yeah, they're remodeling and everything is being redone there, and they're going to have another store in Miami, and then another store in Orlando. So,
stuff Boston is happening. B&O is different. Yeah, stuff is happening. It's just I'm not there to make it happen faster, I guess.
I mean, but the Boston B&O store is really nice.
But yeah, they're fully integrated and everything as far as the gateway and all that nonsense they have going on.
It's also one of the biggest B&O shops I've ever seen in real life or virtually. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, the stupid thing that happened, right? So
yeah, how was your trip? Let's address that elephant in the room, for God's sakes. You've been gone for 2 weeks.
So we get there with cats and tons of luggage and that sort of shit, and then they have to check your animals now.
Of course.
Well, because you could potentially stuff a bomb in your animal or something.
Yeah, you kind of look like a guy that would do that.
So it's so fucking stupid. Anyway, that went all fine, and then I go through everything, and then I get stopped by security. You know why?
Why?
ST DuPont lighter.
No shit. So you lost it?
Not there. They didn't believe that the jet one would turn off automatically. So they thought it was light and go. And I showed them, like, if you light it and you let the button go, it stops. And they said, yeah, we don't believe you. So we give you 3 options. You can give it to us, you can throw it in the bin, or you go out of security and you can send it home.
That's option 3.
Yeah. And then the post lost it, obviously.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yes.
At least it's a jet lighter, not your dad's gold one. Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, man.
The stupid thing is, like, right, this lighter with the normal flame would actually not go out unless you close it. And that would be fine.
Wow, that sucks.
But they said, well, blue flame, and it clicks. Yeah, we don't understand this, so therefore we don't believe you. It's like, good God.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not only that, I was obviously at the back end of security. So then you go outside of security, you go outside of the check-in. You have to go.
all
out
over
of the
again.
terminal. You have to go to a Rivals because there's a bookstore there that does packages that you can send.
Oh my god.
And we
That's a
left
lot
from
of laughs.
Terminal 2 and it's at Terminal 5.
Oh, dude.
So I then have to go there and run all the way back. This took like an hour. So
Oh
the
man.
missus is just standing there with 2 cats. And they're not enjoying any of this. And
That sucks.
yeah, so we're going to the US. I lost €180 lighter.
Should have brought a Bic.
Yeah, so yeah, that was utter garbage because I only had this one for like 6 months.
Oh yeah, because they replaced it, right?
Yeah.
Shiitake mushrooms.
So I'm not happy.
Well, you can't bring anything with the TSA. That's why I always prefer to drive everywhere I can, as much as I can.
So yeah, it's on this end that I lost it, and our mail lost it, and I even had to pay obviously to ship it back. So I'm also out of that.
Mm,
But
Yes.
because
That
of the way it was like they only did small items, so they didn't have insurance stamps for it. So I basically the chance was either lose it in the bin or send it back and hope that you get it. And so I chose the latter, and yeah, that also didn't turn out.
But at least you gave it hope.
Yeah. God damn it. I'm so annoyed.
Oh boy.
You know, I'm not even sure they are 108. They may be more by now.
Probably.
I'm gonna look it up because they're ST Dupont Mega Jet. That's what they are.
Yeah, I don't know how much they are now. Depends on which ones you had, because there's different finishes on them too.
Oh yeah, mine was €220. Yay!
Nice. Yeah, they're about 400 Canadian bucks here.
So
Yeah, they're not fun to lose, especially that way. Fuck.
No, and it was a very pretty full brushed aluminium one, and it was like Uber B&O basically, and it's just like
Gone.
it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I lost that. I mean, fortunately, the rest of the flight was basically uneventful, and I mean, nothing weird happened with cats or anything of the sort.
Did you have them on board the plane?
Yeah. So any animal in its container under 8 kilos you can have with you in the cabin.
How heavy are the cats?
The big one was 5.2 kilos.
Oh, okay, so not.
And the smaller one is like 4.4. And
cut them off the feed for a week before the flight.
And I mean, weirdly, the cat that's super social and loves everybody was deadly afraid of everything, and the cat that hates everything and everybody was super interested in everybody.
That's
it was
weird.
really strange.
It's new, I guess. I don't know. It's the first time they've been outside of the house, I guess, right?
Yeah, and then you have all the misery of like they need to have shots and they need to have doctor's declarations, and this is for when you enter the port of entry in the US, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they need to be deloused, defleed, dewormed, God knows what else, and you all need evidence of that. And then you get into line for the passport check and everything, because cats also have their own passports. So
Do you have pictures on them?
Well, they're optional, but we did. Yes.
Okay, moving on.
So you stand in a line with like God knows, like 500 people because O'Hare is a shit show for arrivals.
Hmm.
Like it's fine for leaving, and it's actually kind of efficient for leaving, but arriving is yeah. I've seen better airports in third world countries, so to say, for arriving. And then
Hmm.
everybody in line is like, "Ooh, a cat! Ooh, can we touch it? Can we touch it?" And it's like, God, no. And then you get to the that person, you know, who waves you over with your passport,
Hmm.
and he's like, "Why are you coming here?" It's like, "We're coming to live here." Okay, so okay. So we hand over our passports, all four of them. And he's like, "What
Hmm.
are these?" It's like, "They're for the cats we have with us." It's like, "Did you buy them there?" It's like, "Well, yeah, but years ago." "Oh, then I don't care about these." What?
The fuck, man.
Because there were all these stupid rules. Like if you bring an animal, you have to see an accredited veterinarian within 72 hours of the flight leaving
Hmm.
uh, to get a health certificate, because otherwise they can ban you from coming in. They didn't want any of it. They didn't care.
But I
Somehow,
bet you if you didn't do it, you would have gotten roasted.
yeah, somehow the only difference was if you just bought it or whether you had it for a while.
Mm.
So it's like, okay. So yeah, that was super weird. But yeah, they're there now with the missus, and it it was quite an experience. They're also not used to forced air heating in the
So they
cold.
trip it on the fans now.
That too, but also how dry it is. Like, good God, is it dry over there?
Oh yeah, buddy.
Like, I don't think they felt all that great the first few days. I mean, nor did I, because it's like I'm not used to like. I mean, when we say it's sort of dry here, it's like 20 to 25% humidity. But as you know from
Weird.
Calgary, when it's dry, it's more like
Oh,
5 to 10%.
for me to have 25% humidity in my apartment in the winter was 36 liters of distilled water a week in a
Yeah,
humidifiers. So,
that's crazy. So
but
yeah, I'm very much looking to not be in the Midwest and to go to Florida. The humidity's me maybe a bit too much in summer, but the rest of the year it's kind of nice.
mhm. No, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the humidity. Fine with the heat. I'm done with the snow.
Yeah. So I mean, we did our thing, and the missus found a job that she's starting tomorrow.
Nice.
So that's good. And then uh, it seems like we potentially found a house. So that's
Sick.
also quite nice.
So yeah, that makes it easy. 'Cause then if you can skip the Airbnb for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, she's with her mum now in the Midwest, right? So
Mhm.
we could always stay in the Midwest and hang out there for a while. But it's just really hard with house hunting. It was like, oh, I'll fly over and be there for a few days, which is every time you do that, it's like $1,000 or so. Because weirdly, flying from like Chicago to Florida is almost the same money now as it is from flying from here to Chicago, which makes no goddamn sense. But
That is weird. Hmm.
so yeah, no, but if we can manage to obtain that, that would be very nice, because that would also mean that all this stuff wouldn't need to be in storage,
Hmm.
uh, which is also a pro. And then I mean, we
Sorry,
won't
hiring
have it.
moving company?
Yeah, yeah. The moving company is coming in 10 days.
Who's back in your 50s? You are?
This mostly me, but for insurance purposes, they have to have a hand in the packing, because otherwise you cannot insure it all risk.
Oh, okay, so you can
Because
have
somehow
them
they
put it in the
believe,
box.
yeah, so somehow they believe that if I pack it, I'm packing a ton of bricks. And because it's expensive, I also need to take videos of everything functioning,
Okay.
because they don't believe you when it's expensive that it works when you ship it.
You know what? That kind of makes sense though for their defense, right? Like, because I'm sure that somebody pulled some bullshit on them before. Because for, like every sticker warning label, there's been a death and a lawsuit or some sort of something, right? So I can understand the analism of it because they just, I'm sure that they got one in the booter before.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, there's that, which is it is what it is.
Mhm.
But yeah, they're coming on the 26th. Then they're gonna put it in storage for well, it depends a bit. Probably a few days. And or maybe, well, it depends on whether we buy this place or not.
Mhm.
Maybe up to a month if we don't buy it, and then if we buy it, then it'll go on the next boat over. Because I mean, in 18 days from now, this
Mhm.
place is no longer mine. So I can't even be here anymore.
You gotta get the fuck out.
Yeah. So
Oh
by the
shit.
definition, I'll be homeless for a while,
Yeah.
which is going to be interesting because I don't think I've ever been homeless.
Well, you're not really homeless. You just don't have a house.
Yeah, the same thing, right? Like, I don't even have access to all my shit.
Yeah, I guess because it's all packed in the storage. It's not
Yeah,
like here. Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
gone.
Goodbye, everything I own. I'll see you on the other side of the ocean.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all happening. So it's yeah, a lot of nonsense to account for.
Hmm.
So yeah, jolly.
Fuck, you're gonna need a whole bunch of cables now for your new house too to wire everything.
Yeah, the house that we found is because I was thinking about what you said in rewiring and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
It actually helps that it's slightly older.
So you can rent some
So
places.
above the ceiling, there's literally a crawl space for like venting and
Oh,
that sort of shit.
sweet.
So that actually leaves you access that you can on your hands and knees pull Ethernet cables and literally like dip them down in the wall.
Fuck, I've done it, man, with the right angle drill. Son of a bitch. That's such a pain in the dick.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in a way happy that it's I mean, it's a very well kept house, but it's from like the 80s. So, but it's very well built. So it's all concrete on the outside, which is like fine, good. And the slab is still in perfect shape. There's no cracks under things, not even in the garage.
Nice. So
And
nothing heavy was parked there.
or the slab was just extra thick.
And the slab was poured correctly, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a pool which is attached into the slab, and the pool's made out of concrete as well.
Hmm.
Uh, so that's good. I mean, if it can handle the load of all that water, because as it turns out, you can have three different types of pools. You can have it from vinyl, fiberglass, and/or concrete.
Mm.
And vinyl, you need to drain every 5 to 10 years. In the entire pool, take all the vinyl out and put new vinyl in.
Oh, come on. Yeah. Like, how
Yeah,
much is that? Like 10 grand, probably, as an exercise?
depends on how large it is and the shape and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But if you dive in too roughly, you could like make little tears in it.
Hmm.
But that also means that the ground soil is the supporting structure for the water. And with the concrete pools, the concrete is literally poured into shape. So
Yeah.
the concrete is what's holding the water in, which is kind of interesting. I had no clue because I've never owned a house with a pool. But since we're going to go to Florida, like a pool is kind of needed. Especially on the
Yeah,
hot days, it's kind of like I'm gonna get up early, open the slidey door, and just go into the pool.
let all the bugs in and shit.
Oh no, it's
Or
like
it's all
covered
screened.
in.
It's
Yeah,
all screened. Nice.
I'll show you later. I think you'll like it. I mean,
Nice.
it needs some updates and things, but it's actually kind of a large living room, and especially if we move a wall, then it's like 19 foot by 19 foot living room,
Nice.
which is decent because I like surround sound setups in case nobody noticed.
No, that'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be really good. I
So
like that.
so yeah, lots of stuff going on, and the is it fun? I'm not sure, but because I've never really lived there, there's no credit history, so it has to be a cash buy. Which
Hmm.
is sort of like, yay, I'm spending this amount of money again.
But you know what though? That's property, right? Like that's never gonna go down in value. So
Yeah, the only thing that is doing me well is sort of that the food store is walking 10 minutes away,
that's not bad. Let me make another cup. That's not
and
bad at all.
it's not in a flood zone, so you don't need flood insurance or anything.
Is flood insurance expensive there?
Well, it depends on where you live, and I mean it's on the value of whatever you're trying to insure, right?
Well, I'm gonna mute this.
So if I have, I don't know, let's say I come into the ability to buy a set of 90s. Well, you need flood insurance because if it's like a foot high, your 90s are going to suffer, and you need them replaced by the insurance.
Hmm.
You know, if you don't tell the insurance what the value of them is, they're not going to insure them for you.
Yeah, and then you're eating how much money? Fudge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, I'll probably still get it, but the real estate agent said since it's not in a flood zone, you can get it in case of, but it's going to be, she said, about 10% of what the normal areas are that require them,
Hmm.
which is like, well, that's not too bad.
Hmm. Michael's asking a question regarding the Cat 7 cables. If there's a difference in quality. I would say there isn't. There isn't. Like for B&O, if you look at what they have, the Surface and the product cable, the product cable is they're braided wires, where the Surface, I mean the Surface ones, the product cables are the ones that go in well, the thick uh, Cat 6E basically shielded is what they are. There's really not much difference. Other than I think the twisting is a little looser than on the Cat 6 or Cat 5, but you also have shielding that is on each pair and each and the braided shield that grounds it all. But other than that, there's really no difference other than in stiffness and bend radiuses or radii, I guess, of certain thicknesses and gauges of cables. So the Surface cables are more forgiving than the.
This is a bit of a contentious thing. Is PowerLink Cat 7 or 6? Out of the box, it always is Cat 7.
Yes.
Jeff somehow says Cat 6 is fine, but I don't know why, unless all the ones they have are double shielded, double braided.
You can make a Cat 6 with the shield, at least if you have a ground shield in it, then you can do it.
Yes, but by definition, not all Cat 6s are, and Cat 7s by definition are all double shielded.
Mm-hmm.
Why Florida and not California?
Nah.
Taxes, amongst other reasons. Also, there's quite literally more B&O in the average of the state in Florida than there is in California. I mean, California probably has more shops, but they're all in San Francisco or LA.
Yes.
Like next to nothing in between.
Yeah, and everybody from California moved to Florida.
Not true. Every Californian seems to be moving to Texas, and all the New Yorkers are moving to Florida.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why?
I think
Because
because
closer,
proximity. I
I
mean,
guess.
going from like Chicago to Florida is like an 18-hour drive. So from California to Florida is what, like 24, 26 hours?
Hmm.
Also, have you looked at home prices in California? Like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, like Florida's bad at the moment, but it's nowhere near as
Hmm.
bad as California is. I mean,
Well,
if you want to buy, I don't know, in one of the nicer places, a 2,000 square foot home, you're gonna pay over $1 million in California.
hmm.
So it's uh, and it's gonna be old because you can't build anything new because of rules and regulations and earthquakes and shit.
Yeah. No, I'm not interested in those. But
I
yeah,
mean,
back to the cables.
speaking of that, humidity bugs like California, you have bugs, but they are people. They just crawl on the street like, give me, give me change.
bunch of Frodos and shit.
While being in the Midwest, like 3 days in, is like,
Mm.
oh, by the way, have a tornado warning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we were in Wisconsin, and like apparently it's now quite commonplace that there's tornado warnings.
Well, I guess something to look forward to
So
over
I
there.
was like, well, I can deal with a hurricane. It's just hard wind and wet, right? But if you get hit by a tornado, like everything's gone and you're dead.
I'd be hugging a fucking 90, man. I'd be surviving that.
Well, if it can lift the roof off your house, it can probably lift a 90.
I don't think they would get blown over, bro. I don't think the 90s could be blown over like that.
You say that now.
Stefan said I tested the 19 in the theater, many tunes in a few movies. It has some limited application for movies, but not much. For music, I find the 19 does very little except in the rare moments. Which I agree, because it depends also what music you listen to. If you listen to something like, like when you listen to rock and older stuff, before the bass was really invented, then there's going to be no bass because it hasn't been recorded. But if you listen to something more juicier, like Skrillex and shit, and then yeah, you're going to be recocking your windows because there is a lot more that is moving the air. But then, yes, it depends. It really depends on the application and use. But with the theater and the 18s, like I was there yesterday when we played with it for a bit. It really made marginal. I would say maybe 15 to 20% being very generous as far as the improvement goes for sound to handle the bottom end.
Did you try tuning it without the theater playing from music?
Yeah, we did quadraphonic
With the 19 then.
with the 19, and the theater bass drivers were basically just going a little bit, but not. It wasn't like what I was expecting. It's going to be a much more, right, but because it's such a well balanced, like the theater itself, it knows how to balance the sound based on the room reading, right? So it's
Yeah.
not gonna overpower the shit out of something just because you want it to. Like, yes, if you turn on the knobs and make a Bose system out of it, then of course, yeah, you can definitely do that, and we try to do that, and then it just sounds too OP. So if you put it to well balanced, then the 19 really only sings when when the bass is extremely called upon per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would almost never really hear it as much present in a like I say rock music or anything other than like more techno or classical even.
You
But
zeroed out all the settings, I take it, on the 19?
yeah.
Because
I put it
in
exactly how I was prescribed to put in, and then I put more gain into it as well, and then I put more gain on the dBs in the app. But then you either have it properly balanced the way it tunes and you can give it a little bit, or then it just fucking runaways from you. It's too much.
because I have a radio preset, and that's just my 18s with the 19. and it's
Yeah, but you don't have anything else playing, so that's a different story.
yeah,
That's just a stereo 2.1 speaker position.
and that actually sounds quite good.
Of course, it would sound just exactly like it would with coming out of the core per se, but better because it's attuned to the room as well. So there is a. When are the BeoLab 4000s coming out? You're in the wrong decade, bro.
2001? No, earlier, right?
What when? Well, BeoLab 4000s came out in 1994 or 96, one or the
Oh
other.
yeah.
I think it's 96. No, 94.
The replacement was the BeoLab 17, which is already EOL as well.
Yeah,
And that's a massive upgrade, by the way.
but I'm sure
17s
there's
to
gonna be another
4000s,
BeoLab
like
coming. So, but yeah, from those very little few songs that we listened to, because I left it with Stefan. I'm like, you know what, keep it there. It's like I don't give a shit if you buy it or not. It's not something that, like, you know what I mean. Like if you go for a test drive per se, it's a different story when you just take it around the parking lot or you get it to drive around the city for a day, right? So you can actually feel the car in its real environment. So that's keep the 19, play a movie, play around with the settings, like Stefan knows how to play with the settings because he's
yeah.
created his own listening presets and so on. So you can play with it, but it really I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised at how little impact the BeoLab 19 did have on the Theater plus 418s setup.
The only thing, like, I don't mean it meanly, but I sort of have to shoot holes in it if I can. But the only other thing I can think of is it room placement and or limitations of the room?
Maybe because we've changed the subwoofer location twice. First, we set it up on one side, and it was like, "Well, that's too fucked up sounding for me." And it's just the sub was way too forward, so we put it on the other side, and it kind of made it better, but also worse because it just became bass heavy on that one side. So, like to me, if you wanted to do this, with like turn it to a fucking kick-ass system, you would have to go with a 19 per each side of the speakers at the front
Yeah, okay.
to well balance because then it's just not heavy on one side, not too heavy on the other side because also the limitations of the placement because you can find a perfect spot for the subwoofer, but it's not somewhere where it actually works as far as the aesthetics go too, right? So there's also that.
Oh, for sure, aesthetics absolutely matter. That's partially why we're buying B&O, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only thing, Stefan, I would say is like if you play something bass heavy, go and listen with your human ear, go around the room and see if you can find a corner, wall, or wherever where it sounds way louder than in the rest of the room. Because that's usually the best spot to put your subwoofer.
That's where we put it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's it just doesn't work. It's like for the I'm saying more or less like I'm looking at it from the economical perspective. Like to me, uh, the how little it does, you either go with two or you don't go with any. That's
Yeah, and that's
basically
kind
it.
of a strange investment, but it looks nice. But if you really don't want 28s, it makes sense.
Yes. So
Sorry, Melges. I think he asked it before. He has a core with 18, 19, and what to set the 19 to, and is the core able to base manage for the 19? I
no,
don't
no,
think so.
there is no base management for the core. Like it depends how you have it set up.
From the core into an 18, 18 loop through the 18, and then to the 19.
Yeah, because they all do their own base management nowadays. It's not like on the BeoLab 2 where you put the power link into the subwoofer and then from subwoofer it's a bypass filtered already into let's say the old good old 8000s per se. So and then you have 1, 2, 3 switch that cuts down dB levels based on what speakers you have. If you have lab ones, you keep it on one. Number two is for the 18s, I mean 8000s, and number three would be like for the lab the threes, 4000s, so on and so forth. In the sub that you have in the 19, you would have it on the wired left and right, so it doesn't just bypass one channel for the bass. but does both. And ideally, you would want to have the subwoofer in between the speakers, not on the side. And that's it. And then low pass filter you can play with, and also there's a gain, right? So you can change things as far as the loudness goes, and also you have the phase, so you can change the phase. But I don't think that's really necessary if you have the sub on the same
phase
wall.
if I remember right, is only really needed if the bass is severely behind the music, as in like that if that thump is too late, you can change the phase over and it'll be in sync again. Low pass, I think they recommend on, but you can do
keep it at 80 hertz. Yeah, keep it on. I think it's 80 hertz low pass default. You can go higher or lower, but then it's just what it does. It doesn't really take that frequency off of the speakers that are connected. It just adjusts its own low pass filter to go higher in the frequency band on its own, because like I said, it's not connected. It's not filtering for the speakers. So the let's say if you have a set of 18s, they will always play in full range, no matter if you have a sub to each of them set up. They will still play at the full range, because the ABL will then throttle the bass, but it'll be imperceivable to you because the Lab 19 just mows the lawn. So
the only way to do it is spend more money and get a transmitter one.
Yes, because then
core into transmitter 1 and then set that to 2.1 mode
and B&O setup, and then you have the transmitter will do the low pass filtering.
Yeah,
but then you have no means of adjusting. It's just what it's set. I think it's also at 80 hertz, maybe 120. I don't remember.
I think standard is 120.
Yeah, I think it's 120 that it's set to, and that's where it just takes over. The subwoofer will take over from 120 down. So,
if you're buying a transmitter, then that solves everything, and it solves a bunch of cables as well.
There's your answer.
So,
and if you have any issues with it, email me. I'll send you the zip file with the software for the update for the transmitter. You can just put it on a USB stick, and then it'll update the transmitter, and it'll update all the connected speakers if there is a need for the software update.
Yeah, I was just going to say potentially the coolest thing about the transmitter 1 is that is somehow the only way that you can update software on connected speakers, but
without a service tool. Yeah, without a service tool.
Like even the theater can't do that to 17s, but the transmitter 1 can, and it's like damn it.
But I also recommend when you do that, you plug in the USB stick, and once you see the lights flashing, walk the fuck away.
Wait,
and don't come back for at least 20 minutes. Go for lunch, go have a cigar or some, come back in an hour. It's all gonna be happy. But if you start watching this shit, it gets no good. I don't know if B&O's shy around people when it's doing software updates, but it usually falls apart. So that's my 2 cents of an advice. But it does work. I've done one theater setup where I updated the 20s, and not theater setup. Well, it was a theater, but not a BeoSound theater. But I've updated the 20s and through the transmitter. Also, I would recommend maybe doing them one at a time. So you just have one speaker connected, it'll update itself, and then unplug that, plug the other one in, and do the same process. Yes, you'll kill an afternoon with it, but at least now don't fix nothing that ain't broke. But if you do have problems per se, like in the channels are dropping out, or there's some sort of a burara going on, then yeah, I would recommend to stick a USB in and make sure it's like an empty one, that you don't have anything else on it other than that file. Format the piss out of it, and then just have that one file on it, stick it in, and wait. Once the transmitter starts flashing red, you know you're cooking. BeoWilly@gmail.com. There you go. Mikey's got a faster hand than me.
And I'm a 4-finger typer.
Fuck you, I'm 5-finger. I use my thumbs for spacebar. Better than you then.
So I guess I have to type like this then.
See, I type like that. Bro, I have a freaking business degree from Slovakia. We used to type on freaking. I had a typewriting class.
Oh, you had one of these.
Oh yeah, bro. And if you were looking at your hand, the teachers back then had the right to fucking smack you with the plastic ruler right over the hands. Pow! Don't look. And now you need to look because it hurts. Son of a bitch. So that's the school that I grown up on. How about that?
Yeah, we didn't do capital punishment here. It would have been a good thing. Who knows?
We used to have a teacher that would make you put your hand like this and then whack your fucking top of the fingers with the ruler. Wooden one too. Oh boy. Yeah, you paid attention after that.
Wait, was that to stop you from being Italian? Boppity boop.
Boopity boppity whack. Oh no. No more talking with your hands. So yeah. But other than that, overall positive comments about the theater still. I don't have much to say that is wrong. I can't believe that they refused to update or make the freaking status light blink with the volume up and down. That sucks. But it is what it is. Also, there is no plans for supporting the Kelowna Matrix on the theater anymore, which I find is kind of silly. But I think they're getting away from the Matrix game altogether, which is, I think, it's not that it's a shame, but it's almost illogical to me because you still have people that that will have the utility for it. But for me, like, you know, I don't have any experience with the theater as far as like, different things connected to it, HDMI's and stuff, because I'm only utilizing what's built in as far as the LG app, the YouTube, the Prime, like everything is basically now built into the television panel. I don't have, like we have the occasional fucking Blu-ray and stuff. Like I had one guy that I came over. It wasn't a theater setup. It was just an LG TV that I went to swap out because he decided to go from 48 to 55. He made a mistake of buying a small one. And then he goes and he looks at me. He's like, "How can you hook this up?" And it's a fucking VCR, JVC, right?
What?
I'm like, hook it up.
It's still a SCART and stuff.
No, we don't have SCART. It's just a yellow video cable, and I think it was I had S video output with the left and right, and an SPDIF, right? Because it was like the surround DVD or the tape player. I'm like, you don't hook this up anymore. I'm like, I got tapes. I'm like, well, you know what? You need to let this go. Like everything that you own in those tapes is in more is now 1080p at least on Netflix or whatever.
I mean, you can convert it if you really want to, but that's a one-time thing. But I was looking at it recently. I was at my brother and sister-in-law, and they still had was it a Nintendo 64 setup in their downstairs sort of living room thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at the TV, and he's like, "Yeah, it's an old one." It's like, actually, you should be very, very careful with this thing and keep it, because like the 3-prong video in, you're not going to find on anything new anymore.
Nope.
If you can at all convert it in any way halfway decently, but then it's non-native resolution, which is also
it's all messed up. Yeah, it's all messed up.
So better keep this thing around if you enjoy this.
Yeah. Yeah, Malgus, when you decide to buy the 14, I think you should leverage the trade in the BeoLab 19 towards the theater. I don't think you'll go wrong. Offset your cost. And if you have the set of 18s, like you basically will have the same setup that I have right now, and it freaking kicks ass, man. And I'm surprised how the Dolby Atmos performs in this small little unit. Like I'm surprised how well this thing actually does what it's doing. So I started watching a show called Six, which is, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier on, probably not. It just started recently. It's about the Navy SEALs. Which is a whole, I guess, a show, right? A couple of seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And man, this is very well recorded, like, especially the shootout scenes and like the helicopter flybys and all this shit. Like it sounds amazing through the theater. And I also think the walnut grill made it sound better. Yeah, the walnut gives it awesome.
Speaking of which, in my US trip, uh, we stayed with my mother-in-law for a bit, and
Yeah,
I got to do two of your most favorite things. She has
you get to garden.
a Samsung TV, which is HD ready, meaning full resolution is 720p.
Yeah, that's HD ready.
And she has one of those Bose radios.
Oh Christ on the cross.
But then she likes to watch all these things like The Voice and that sort of thing. And like, no judgment. If you like it, you like it. But it's like, God, does it sound terrible on a TV like that? And it's not even that terrible compared to like if I turn this LG on, because this is so thin, you have no room for speakers really.
Hmm.
So back then, I mean, it's a flat screen, but it's like 3 inches
Yeah,
thick, right?
yeah.
So it's going to cost me quite a bit of money because I can't be bothered to keep coming over there pretty soon if I live nearby to listen to her TV yak on with at least a stage underneath it.
You got to put a stage underneath it. She'll love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at least get her an LG OLED because I mean, this
I
TV.
had a weird install. Speaking of stages, on Friday, it was fucking no, it was this week. Friday, I went to fix it. So here's what happens: we get on the job,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a extended care facility, right? So the lady's 90 years old. So there was an RTI remote with two fucking buttons, Blu-ray and TV, right? Everything, big ones too. So we set it all up, and when I first come in, like me and Jen, we now have the routine, and I also like with all the boys, like I start, they if there's a TV, they start measuring out the stuff, and usually they talk French, so they obviously talk to the client and blah blah blah. In the meantime, I unpack the whatever B&O product there is, plug it into the wall, get them to install the update, take over their account, so they don't fuck off with the phone in the middle of an update and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then I start the update. So I did one stage, perfect. Did the other stage, the motherfucker electrician flipped the breaker back and forth, bricked the thing, stuck in the update loop. So I'm like, tabaknak, right? So go back, pick up a stage.
Oh, that's an
Pick up another
expensive
stage.
oopsie.
So I might be able to wake it up through Service Tool, but I don't know, like, because it comes online and everything. But I think, and it was even hardwired too. So I don't know. I might be able to shock pedal that fucker to life. And so I bring another one on Friday, bring in another stage, plug it in, turns on, and it goes to like HDMI arc, just fucking blink, 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 like it goes to TV to the stage, TV stage, TV stage, TV stage, stays in the stage. I'm like, fuck. So I take the stage from the bedroom that works with that two identical LG 48-inch panels. Take the bedroom TV, put it in the living room on the stage, does the exact same thing. Take the stage from the living room, put it in the bedroom, works flawlessly. The HDMI arc port on a fucking panel was faulty too. So back to the warehouse, get another goddamn TV, bro. So yeah, it was a very interesting thing, but we got it done before she moved in, which was important because it's today, and I'd rather not get a phone call that shit's not working.
So if this is the case where like you tell the electrician not to touch anything, but he flips the breaker anyway, like insurance wise, who would be at fault for that?
I don't know. I can't really prove it, but I know he did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he flipped one and whatever. Like if it was that outlet, I'm certain of it.
But would that then be on the shop for you guys, basically? Like,
I guess. I don't know.
or would this then be like, well, faulty product goes back to B&O?
But it also could be like, if did he do it or was it fucked already to begin with that it never came out of the update loop?
Yeah.
because it shows online. The weird thing is you could play a radio station. There's no sound coming out of it. The red lights are pulsing, but you can join the other stage in the other room.
Because I understand, like, as from a customer's perspective, it's sort of like, it's not my problem, you go fix it. Like, fuck off,
Yes,
you guys did this. Like, it's not my fault at all. But from as a business
from
perspective,
business
it's
perspective, it's a bullshit.
oh, this is gonna be hard, whichever way you go about it, right?
You can't prove it,
Yeah.
but I can also not prove. And you know what? It's not even my bad. But what I usually do, I have this little Milwaukee power source,
Mm-hmm.
and I usually plug everything into it. And I know for a fact I have a charged battery. It's not gonna fucking interrupt anything. And I didn't bring it with me that time. And I always bring it. I always update the products now on independent power source.
So it's a UPS basically.
Yeah, it's this little Milwaukee power thing that I got, and it's good up to 150 watts. And like the stage is never gonna draw that power in an update mode. None of the products do.
No.
You can't plug in a 50 or a 90 into it because they will fucking just suck the battery right through the cord when it comes to, like, charging up the capacitors.
That's actually kind of handy,
It's a
especially
very handy
in newer
product.
construction as well, where there's other people around and you can't
Well,
control.
but there's also instances where, like, we had the set of the Lab 90 scenario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you go in, like the 90s, the plugs that were made for those were fucking 220. You're not going to plug in your Apple charger into it because they're also recessed plugs too, and it's going to blow the fuck up. So, and there was no other plugs around it. So how do you do that? Like the cords are only, or cables are only so long, blah, blah, blah. So I had this, plug it in here. Here's your power, man. Work with it. So it's a very, very handy tool.
Do you guys have something like over voltage protection?
Well, it's
I
a
don't have it
surge
in
protection.
place. It is built into the chassis of most things, B&O.
Plus, there's fuses inside power supplies as well. Like, you're not really. It's the same thing, like getting into, like, what kind of a power cord do you need, and it's more or less, I guess, the power cord that comes with the B&O product is no better than, or no worse than, any other power cord that you can put into it, because it still brings the same voltage. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because all the filtration that happens to the power is done on the
Power
power
supplies.
supply
Yeah.
stage inside the product itself. That's where it filters out. It doesn't care.
I mean,
The
that
only
would
thing that it
almost be
cares
like
for.
you can overclock your PC better if you use a better power cable, which is like, wait, huh?
That's nonsense. Like, it
Yeah.
makes no sense. It's a more or less a marketing gimmick, and a placebo to a lot of people that believe that, you get a better power cord, it's going to sound cleaner. Yes, it's going to sound cleaner to you because you believe in the fact that it does sound cleaner. But if you were to do a blind A to B test, and I would have, let's say, set of 90s plug into, I don't know, Audio Quest fucking Cinnamon or whatever cookie series, right? That you have for fucking $600 for a 3 meter cord, and then I would have you listening to him with the B&O supplied cables. I think you still shit your pants, because the 90s would sound amazing on both, and there would be no difference whatsoever in between. Maybe if you feed PowerLink cable and you feed it through a non B&O specific cables, or you don't use Steve's cables, which are better than B&Os, then you may have issues. And if you run, like some, Jimmy the Trunk Slammer job where you fucking put a Cat 5 cable, and then you wonder why it's buzzing and shit. So yeah, like if you do it the Trunk Slammer way, you will have issues. If you do it correctly, you will never have
The
any difference in sound.
only thing that I could think of that a cable could be improved of is if you do it the British way, with not necessarily the connections or anything, but almost 90% of British plugs have a fuse in the plug,
Hmm.
which is actually kind of a nice safety feature for lightning or that sort of shit.
You know what sucks about that goofy ass nonsense you all have in Britain there? Well, I guess it doesn't really apply, but like, I look at it from my installer perspective view. Like, what fucking hole in the wall would I have to put in to put this goofy ass cable through down? Because the cables, cable's a cable, it's thin, but the plug is massive. You know what I'm saying? It's massive.
Yeah, well,
It's silly.
there's a whole thought and process and stuff like that. Everything is safety about it.
Yeah, here it's the only logical safety that I've seen that I had a hard time understanding here is that the plugs in Quebec are upside down, which makes sense because then it puts the ground pin on the top. So if something falls, it doesn't fall on, but it falls on it hits the ground pin first and bounces off. If you have your cables plugged in,
I believe that's the same in Britain, where the ground pin is on top, but also the ground pin is longer, so it's the last pin that comes out.
Yes.
And
it's same in Slovakia, from what I remember.
But you can then also, that's if you really want, but you can get them in the US as well. US versions of plugs where you have like either the standard resistor or the glass fuse.
Yeah.
And I would say if you're for lightning and that sort of shit, get one with a glass fuse in it somewhere because they pop sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, if you're gonna have your house hit by lightning, you're probably better off putting some actual like copper rods from the roof into the ground than just let it hit your house, because your roof is still going to be scorched all hell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like lightning doesn't damage a whole bunch of other things, so it's sort of a last ditch effort to save whatever's plugged into the wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then you can have a scenario like my client had where the lightning struck the fire pit and it went through the link eye into the master link bus through the passive kit and fried 3/4 of his system. The only thing that didn't burn was the BeoVision 12. But the BeoSystem 3 took a nice one in the balls. Like, oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, UK plugs, I don't like them because they're enormous. But
they're safe, but tabarnak, man, like for me to deal with that kind of a cable, it's a pain in the ass.
Also, every outlet has an on-off switch next to it. More safety.
More. Yeah, that's excessive. But you know what I mean? Nobody's burning down over there.
Not yet, anyway.
Fudge. But yeah, other than that, I don't have issues with installing the things. But the power definitely, becomes a problem sometimes. And like I said, sometimes you just don't have control over what other people do. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, whatever house I end up in, I'm probably going to do a bunch of stuff to it anyway, because, might as well, now that solar panels are fairly affordable, might as well put a bunch of solar panels up and basically have free electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you can get a bunch of tax rebates and whatnot for it anyway.
That, and also I think if you're running your house off of a battery, then you're more or less impervious to brownouts, because the electricity dips no longer exist for you because you're buffered by the battery, so that can pick up the slack where it because that's more dangerous to your electronics than anything else. When you have a dip in the voltage, like let's say it drops to 80 volts and comes back up, like that's so bad for it.
It's also very bad for the power plants, but
yes,
I mean, as in like literally those turbines start hopping.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not meant to go that slow.
So yeah, that's the thing that more or less has any big influence, in my opinion, on your.
If I remember right, somewhere in Russia there was like this this mining company started up for, I don't know, I think titanium or something, and they drew a lot of power. And effectively what that mining operation then did is that it broke the dam. And there was like this whole town was flooded because this giant dam broke. And they traced it back to literally this mining operation was pulling so much power that this turbine would speed up and then slow down all of a sudden because of the fluctuation. And the turbine would hop, and the turbine literally destroyed the dam.
I think I've seen the CCTV footage of that go off. Yeah. That's a few years back. I know it was in Russia. It was a few years back. I think I've seen that.
But
and then I've seen aftermath. Like, holy fuck.
Also, Florida, like people say, hurricanes and stuff. If power lines go out, I'll have a battery, so I'll be unaffected. Also, generally, your ISP is so fucking far away that they're not affected by the power outage. But since you don't have any power, you can't connect to the internet, right?
Hmm.
So just have the modem sit on a UPS or on the battery or something, and you still have Wi-Fi and that sort of thing.
Well, yeah, because at this point nowadays, network is more important than warm water
Pretty
or
much.
electric. Because if you don't have network, you can't even call for help nowadays. Or everything is app based, so you do need internet. Or
So much. I'm surprised. So much calling is VoIP, voice over IP.
Mhm.
Uh, I was
In
looking,
US.
especially yes. I was looking at a ISP slash phone provider,
Hmm.
and apparently there's this provider called Earthlink or something in
Okay.
Florida, and they have very reasonable prices. A gigabit up and down, no data caps at all, is $90 a month, which for Dutch people will sound a lot, but in America it's not.
Hmm.
And you can get a mobile phone plan, unlimited data for like $35 a month, but it comes with free international calling to 35 countries.
Wow.
And the Netherlands is on it. And it looked like, how do they do that? It's like, just have a server here and VoIP it.
Hmm.
I mean, the limit for international calling was 6,000 minutes a month. It's like, Jesus.
Holy shit! I don't spend that much time on the phone locally, let alone internationally.
Yeah, so it's like, that serves me perfectly well. But I'm just surprised because I remember not even that long ago, I have a bunch of friends that are pretty well to do, but back then it was an option to even let your phone provider let you call outside of the country. So I could call them there locally with my Dutch phone, but they couldn't call me back.
Weird.
And when they could, it was like at least $1.50 a minute. And now
I
it's
remember
just
those days.
free. It's like,
Hmm.
wow.
Yeah, it's the price of internet is expensive still in Canada compared to Europe. Like, we get reamed, but then again, there's so much more distance between things and so on and so forth. Where
Yeah,
I
that
guess
too. I
but
guess
also there's
Florida
a
at one point decided like fiber everywhere because we're just done with it.
mhm.
Because you can get plans up to 5 gigabit now, which is like, why would even a business need that much unless you're a massive IT business? But I don't know, let's say you're a Home Depot. Like, you don't need that as a Home Depot.
No, maybe for the transactions, but that's like what for weekends that would be the heavy loads when people are in. But
Yeah,
that's
but
still
it's kilobytes.
it's kilobytes. It's not something.
Why would you need 5,000 Mbit up and down?
Why not? At some point they're gonna need it. The Internet of Things is taking over, bro.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's good. I'm happy. I was perfectly uh, preparing to be sort of more Midwest prices. Uh, and like my brother-in-law likes to watch sports and stuff and has a cable subscription therefore. And I asked him what
mhm.
it cost, and he's like, "Oh, like his internet and TV at home, that's like $280 a month." I was like, what?
Wow, yeah, it's expensive here.
He's like, "Yeah, I like the Premier League a lot, so I want to watch that." Jesus Christ, man.
You're paying up the ass. Yeah, it's the TV watching here is expensive for what you get essentially as content, which is a lot of commercials. So yeah, I haven't had a TV for years now, man. 6 years.
Hello, everybody. We're free on YouTube.
There you go. See, we're gonna be your TV. You learn something every day, I guess. We're here, at least about BNO, nothing else.
Yeah, or
So,
traveling with cats and losing lighters. God damn it.
mhm. So the new product leaked again, I guess, a little bit
Yeah,
there. It was a little bit of a spillage, I
but
heard.
well, it leaked a few times already, right?
Hmm.
So was it about 2.5 weeks ago? I forget if it was here or apparently B&O hired a PR company to help promote it. And they just sent it to a bunch of people in email lists,
Oh, right on.
which is like, we're launched now on, I think, let's say, end of April. But it had a specific date in it. And everyone was like, well, thank you, but it's nowhere near that date yet. And
Yeah.
then yeah, some pictures showed up online, and then apparently some are already sold, and the customers that bought those thought, hey, I'll take a picture and put it up online.
So they did.
Yes. And then you have a few dealers that I don't think this is a secret in any way, but there's quite a few dealers that will have it up in the showroom hidden somewhere before the official release date, right?
We do. We have it hidden. I already played with it.
Fair enough. But then if
But
you
we're not
go
showing it. We're not
on the
selling it.
Discord, you also have the other dealers where they just put it in the showroom street facing. Like it like window on the street, like put it there with the board next to it. This is what it costs and everything. It's just like,
Oops.
oh man. Because the
So,
same thing, if you remember, happened with the 28s.
mhm.
I think dealers were setting them up and they were just doing that in like the front window display. And not
Yeah, the
even,
Vienna pictures.
yeah, and they didn't even have like something draped over it or anything.
Yeah.
Like it's fine if you have something draped over it and allude to something. But yeah, I don't know. Either the NDAs aren't respected very much or people don't know about them.
How do you not know about them when it says classified, do not share all over the goddamn PDF file? How do you not know that? It's in red letters too, and there's no other red letters in there.
I remember calling a dealership in this country because they posted the 28 on Instagram, and it's like, dudes, I like you guys, but you're aware, right? Like you're breaking the NDA, and I don't want you to get in trouble. And it's like, really? Oh, I have to ask the boss. It's like, no, I'm telling you,
Yeah.
take this picture down. Like, you're not getting any trouble from me, and thank you and all, but like, don't make you yourself have to pay like 100 grand.
Yeah.
And
But
then it was like, and from my deduction of the situation, it's like the boss knew it and the boss read it, and I spoke to an employee that apparently just sold the stuff and didn't really read that sort of thing.
I think it's more or less what's coming is an inevitable end of BioLit 20 era or BioLit altogether.
Chris Jansen says, I just want B&O to come out with a product that looks like a handbag. I disagree. I want it to look like an old-fashioned shopping bag that's firm and also have an exterior that my cats could use to scratch on.
Oh God. And that definitely is what it is.
Yeah, I could
But
never buy that version. It'd be like, oh, immediately.
I want to see the other one, the darker version as well. I haven't unpacked it, but it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and yeah. Enough said. Couple more sleeps, y'all will see it too. Well, unless you saw Discord, and
Yeah.
so. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of wondering what they're gonna come up with the Tufts, the theater in next future or near future.
So sort of like this.
But
It's
with a wooden handle instead.
It's an old shopping basket. I'm sort of joking, but I'm not.
It looks good. Looks very good.
Absolutely.
They've done a great job at the design of it.
I mean, I like it a lot, and especially versions. I mean, then again, if you go to the FCC website, you can also figure out some stuff. Christian says, Mace Bino keeps fucking up this way with the leaks. Yeah, you're not the only one. I think the CEO is too. I heard through the grapevine, but then again, it's like, you're in control, dude. It's not us.
I don't know. I think the only way that you can prevent dealers leaking is to hurt them financially, which is docking the margins. If you're showing a product before its launch date, then you know what, you're losing 10%. That's it for 3 months of your orders. If you do it again, it's 25% for 6 months of your orders. And the third time around, we'll just pull your goddamn license. And that's it. And if you do that once, twice, people will learn right away that it's not supposed to be done. Apple has no leaks. How the fuck is that? And they're a huge company.
They only have it when they want them to.
Exactly. So that's just, like, keep a secret, I guess, for God's sake.
Well, part of the problem, I think, is in enforcing this, you're going to have to enforce it on yourself as well.
Well, that's where they need to start with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be fully up on, like, go and enforce this if there's no leak ever from HQ again, right?
Well, and those people should be reprimanded for that. Like, if you're found that you leaked something from the HQ, first it's a 2-week suspension without pay.
Yeah.
Next one is a month, and third one is you're looking for another job with no reference possible from here.
But the problem with that, well, maybe not a problem, but even the theater was leaked, right? And that was sort of they hired external people to work through the summer on the website. And they finished the stuff that they were ordered to build. But in that, there were pictures uploaded of the theater. And a bunch of people got an email with, like, follow-up products. And it's like, the top header was the theater. And it's like, okay, so these are external people.
See, but that's also the problem. Then like, it needs to be vetted. Like, it needs to be vetted through the internal channels. Just like if now we have to vet all of our Instagram posts through the head office to get it approved, why doesn't the same apply to the marketing people or your third-party contractors that are hired to do this? You know what I mean? Like, for me, if I hired somebody to do something, I fucking check their job before I pay them.
One would think,
like,
but
isn't that how it works in logical sense?
Maybe it's Denmark and everybody's literally out to lunch for 2 months in summer.
Yeah, but still, like, there's got to be a way to police this better or to improve it. Like, but let's just fire immediately. But like,
there are circumstances where it's quite literally oopsie or an accident. Like, I know for a fact there have been. Like with the H95s when they leaked. They weren't actually leaked, but they were on a server that shows a storefront, but the security of that server had lapsed. So it became visible to one of these spiders that Google employs to, like, search terms and stuff, right? So if through the FCC you knew the term, you could find the server, but only through Bing and or Safari, and then just look on the server.
Sometimes I'm amazed by the level of autistic expertise that it takes to find shit.
Oh, we have some very good people in that regard around on the Discord too.
I'm certain of it.
I mean, I'm looking at you, Chava. And also, I don't know, maybe I've stopped searching for a bit because there's no need, because somehow I find out other ways.
See, like Melga says, I guess dealers are getting punished by reduced margin for some time. So this happens only. I don't think that it's implemented to when they leak, but I know for a fact that like if you have the secret shoppers come in and you happen to have one of the TVs in the showroom being in a screensaver because you had a client and you showed him something and you just didn't, put the TV back because you were busy with, like you're just gonna go with the flow of the sale and experience. Like I'm not gonna go and resell. I'll deal with that shit after the client leaves and I maybe close a deal of some sorts, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get in the meantime, you get the secret shopper come in and then they dock your margin because one of your TVs was on a fucking screensaver or the other one was off or whatever. Like, so they and then you have to fight for all of that and argue with the HQ about it. Where if you just leak shit, it's fine. Nobody says nothing, right? But God forbid your TV's in the screensaver mode. So I just don't like that two-faced policy for okay, rules for a year but not for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, I understand with Microsoft that Microsoft is a different business, and if you leak shit, you're out. Goodbye, fuck off. Mm-hmm. Is a bit more family, small company. Everybody knows one another, and if somebody leaks something that's been there for 10 years and hadn't leaked anything since before or since, it's sort of like, well,
then take him behind the bar and give him 25 paddles and put him back in the chair, man. Shit, and then they'll remember.
Yeah, but it's just it's every goddamn time.
Mm-hmm. As soon as the product is basically ready in its physical shape and form, it's leaked.
Yeah, some of the times the leaks are the FCC websites and stuff, right?
Yes.
Which I really don't get because you can request a retraction of those photos until the day of launch.
Mm.
So, so the way this goes, right? Like you make your product, your store ready, your sale ready product, and you send it to the FCC, and they check it for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, frequency spectrum. Like, does this give you some weird, I don't know, magnetism in your house or whatever, that sort of stuff. And to comply with that, they make pictures of your label and that sort of thing. But you can tell them, like, that's fine and all, but could you, for the general public, because the FCC is a government body, so it has FOIA requests that you can put in. Like, they have to publicly make available what they know about products. But you can request them due to economic incentives. Could you not post those pictures? Could you use a diagram to show where the label is instead, which they did for the theater? But for some products, they apparently say, because they're delayed, like, let's say the supposed initial tentative launch day is April 2nd. And then they probably know at least a month in advance that it's going to be delayed, right? And then just forget to tell the FCC. And they just go, well, it's past what you asked us. Now those pictures have to go public. And it's like, good God, man. Just write them an email.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand the is it negligence or is it some of it is, like, is it really done in the marketing purpose that, the first insiders get the tickle and they, right? And then, regular people that just go to the shop, they kind of just, they get the notification in the email that, okay, here's a new product, or a phone call from the shop to invite them for a new product demo and so on. But
yeah, but there's idiots like us around, that even if we had no connection to B&O whatsoever other than being customers, that we would hunt this down to the end of the earth.
Yeah, but then again, that's a different level of a personality when it comes to or a fan and
But there's
and a
like 50
collector.
of us every week here. And if it's just
Yeah,
here, it just, I mean, B&O has what? At least 100,000 customers. Let's say 0.1% of them is nuts like we are. That means still half of them haven't found us.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's a problem, right? If you have like 100 people that basically want to break down your door to see what's behind it.
But yeah, I think they, you know, I don't know. I just can't explain it because it's happening repeatedly all the time, and it's almost tiring at this point. That okay, we're doing this again with the leak, and shit. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm looking forward to the new product, and so you guys should, because it is, the features in it are very enticing. It looks very, very good. It looks very good. The WAF factor is unbelievable, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. This
Yeah.
is the balance I always said was geared towards women a bit more in terms of like interior aesthetics that are quite modern. But I think this is totally aimed at women while not being ostentatious towards men.
hmm But it's
I mean, I
yeah.
could easily have this in my house and be happy with it, and the missus will be very happy with it in terms of looks.
Oh, when our secretary saw it, she was all over it right away. It's like, oh my god, this is so nice. So like, it is very nice,
I mean,
very very
and if
nice.
you want the more masculine one, you can switch covers over from the darker to the lighter. And
hmm
I think, or just go full dark, and that's really, really nice. And yeah, I like it a lot. I just hope, unlike the level, that they will actually come with more cover options.
Yeah, I think this will be the death of the level in few ways more than one.
Yeah, and this,
Unless they come up with a Mozart upgrade that or update rather, that you could utilize those speakers for surround, then it makes sense to have level as let's say rear channels for your theater. I think that would be a great addition, because then I would definitely crack the other box open, put the level on each side, and put the 18s at the front, and have a like a proper theater system or a surround package.
yeah, also another thing where, so if I'm not mistaken, Chaba lives somewhere in the Nordic countries.
Okay.
But just to illustrate the internet detective cat on the keyboard, right?
hmm
Amazon fucked up because Amazon put on the instruction video of how to set it up on Amazon France like a month ago.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it was under a BeoLit page.
Wow.
So it's like everybody
Wow.
fucked up on this one. Everybody. Like some dealers fucked up, Amazon fucked up, the PR company fucked up, the FCC was a fuck up. It's like, it's like, oh
Everything went.
yeah,
That's funny.
yeah.
But
Like they're
no.
gonna do anything to Amazon. Amazon will just say, "We don't care. We'll just not carry your products anymore." Then, and then it's like, oh,
Oops. Yeah, and then they
then you
poop
lose
their
more
pants.
money than that it hurts Amazon to punish them.
Sometimes, man, I just don't understand. Like I said, it's sad, but it happens all the time.
Yeah, like Max says, they may as well announce it now. We know everything pretty much anyway. Correct, but out of respect, since the day is still not there, and I know for a fact people are under NDA and that sort of thing, because they, like any product review that has gone out with an NDA with a date in it,
hmm
and it's gonna suck because it's like you're not really telling anybody anything new anymore.
Hmm.
Unless you've been totally AFK like I was in the last few weeks in America, and I still got it there because I run the Discord. The French Amazon page is gone, obviously.
Hmm. Obviously, they pulled it down.
Yeah.
Melgus, I just posted a link in the chat for the update page for your transmitter and on the BNO's website. So you can do your transmitter as you wish.
But also nowadays with screen recordings and screenshots, it's literally a button.
Hmm. But
It's not us.
nope, nope, it never will be. We'll
And
bitch about it, but we won't post it.
and in all honesty, if you're still going to be mad at me, I knew weeks ago and didn't say shit.
And we know about another product we're not going to say shit about too. So
So yeah, a drum roll, everybody. Fortunately, it works out time wise.
yeah, but no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun product to sell. Not for me, or setup more or less, because the setup is going to be brainless.
I really wonder where they are with the whole Mozart integration for surround sound speakers, because I think this
Hmm.
would be an excellent choice for that.
Also, speaking of speakers and theater type of thing with the Mozart platform, this is something that I haven't seen before, but I've seen it at Stefan's house yesterday. Uh, the length of time between speaker presets or speaker or listening positions is codependent to how many speakers you have in that speaker position included. So
Oh,
like if
maybe
it
that's
goes
why
between,
mine are so long.
yeah, because between the theater and the like, he's got the triangle, right, which is theater and the 18s. We left one like that. And when you start getting into theater 18s and 18s, it's like 5 seconds, 6 seconds long. It's
Yeah, maybe
insane.
that's
It's
why mine are always so slow.
and that's what I wondered. Like, is it you also, or like maybe if you retune, but you already went out of beta and you retuned all your speaker or listening presets, so and it's still the same time. That's something that BNO should
Yeah, but
look at, in my opinion.
thinking about it now, 9 out of 10 times I'm coming from what 10 speakers to either 2 or 4 or something of that nature,
Hmm.
or from 2 to 10.
Yeah.
So I can see if it changes anything if I go from the theater itself to just 18, 19. If
Those should
that's
be almost instantaneous. But if you go to a full surround with all of your speakers included, it takes about 5 to 6 seconds for some reason. I do not understand why it's frustrating.
I mean, I always understood that if the 50s were off, it took a bit for them to start up because
Of
that's just
course,
two,
yeah.
3 seconds. But
Yeah.
it's to the point where the 50s are already started up and there's still nothing coming.
Hmm. And I don't understand if it's just that there's a bug in the software, or is it just the way that this is going to be now? But I'm not used to that because it never did that with the speaker groups, right?
With the harmony, everything else was already playing for the 50s that were even on.
Yeah. So that's something that I wonder, because I wasn't like, is it just his, or is it, But you have also more speakers than four, so
More
it's
speakers than most people.
yeah. So it's interesting finding that it does happen if you populate more and more. Like if you go over 3 pairs connected, then you're starting to have delay issues when switching between the listening presets. And I'm surprised that it hasn't been reported yet as an issue. But I don't think that
For
many
my part,
people.
I haven't bothered because it's like somebody asked me on the Discord the other day, like, why are you still on 2.3.4? It's like because I want it to work and I'll eat the batteries for now. And by the
Mhm.
time I have it again, there's probably going to be another software update or two. And then
Oh,
I'll.
by the time you move it and install it again, there's going to be definitely at least one update.
And I just want it to work until then, right? I'll eat the
Hmm.
batteries. Like, who cares?
Who cares?
But having, like, if there's an update where it goes wonky, you have to redo everything, that's much more of a hassle right now than putting new batteries in the remote.
Yeah. I agree.
So I kept it on the software that works. Same for the screen, actually. It's still asks me every day, do you want to update this? No!
Yeah.
When I got home, I turned the TV on, and then I started flipping through channels. And since it was a cold start from a long while, it was flipping through channels, and then all of a sudden it said, do you want to update? And I was still flicking channels, and I accidentally hit yes. It's like, no! So I could cancel it. Like, I canceled it at 0%. And fortunately, it still asked me, do you want to update this every day?
My TV has now updated 3 times since I've been whining about the Wi-Fi connectivity issue, and I still have the Wi-Fi connectivity issue. I don't understand it.
It may be one of the eco power setting things that is just unavoidable now because of rules and regulations.
But I don't think I got any of those set up in there anymore. Like, I've went through the whole menu.
Yeah, but it's unavoidable, right? So, on a totally different tangent, since I'm going to have to buy a washer and a dryer pretty soon, I was watching washer and dryer reviews on YouTube. As you do.
Let me grab a drink. That's funny. Well, that's how you educate yourself nowadays, right?
And this repair guy was basically giving advice because he's been repairing washer dryers and that sort of stuff for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the biggest change he's noticed in the last 2-3 years is that what 5 years ago was the eco cycle is now the normal cycle. And you cannot get out of it. Like, because of rules and regulations and energy label changes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the normal cycle is now the eco cycle, and the eco cycle is basically the same cycle but just with way less water.
Oh.
So it's like, it's probably the same for TVs, for anything that uses electronics.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I'm freaking curious now.
I mean, maybe try and buy that Wi-Fi to Ethernet thing, see if it changes anything.
I might have to.
I mean, because if the Wi-Fi is that on and never hibernates, right? That's like, it's going to seem stupid, but that's like a watt and a half continually.
I don't pay for electricity, so I couldn't give a shit. I just
understand,
don't want to come in,
but this is
open
the
TV
nonsense
and
they care about. Because even with BeoTalk 5s in the day, they cared about
the LED. I know it's
like, we care about when it's off that it drains half a watt. It's like, wow.
So let's go. Let's share this with the crowd here. So we'll go to general again, I guess. Always ready. I don't have that turned on. AI service. Oh, why is this on? Fuck off.
Why don't you have the always ready on?
When the TV switches to always ready to provide optimized wallpaper, voice recognition, and mobile device for music. I don't want voice recognition to be like happening.
I'll have to look if I have that on, but I think you can you have it always ready, which means it's always in a stand, as it's like it's going into standby and not hibernate, if I'm not mistaken.
So if I use always ready without the wallpaper, then?
Yeah, I think so. It'll use more electricity, but if you don't care.
Hi, LG. Oh. No, it says the network's not connected. Yes, I want to connect. See, like, I still have to go here and turn on. I have to put the password. I just have to click it to like, I just don't get it. Why my TV does not stay on the bloody network, man. General, where else do we go? Devices, TV management. There's really not much. Home store mode. Quick Start Plus. I turned that off because they recommend to turn it off. And TV info, there's not much to it other than how many hours? I got 480 hours on this thing already. How about that?
Well, it's not just you, it's also the missus now.
Yeah. Simpling has to be on. So There's that. Like, it's just what a piss off, man. System.
So
Now
what
it's like
happens if you turn it off now? Now that you changed the always ready thing.
we'll see. I need to leave it for like we got a few more minutes left anyway, so I'll leave it for a bit and then turn it back on because it takes a little while for the. I think that when I turn it on now, it's gonna fucking work because that's just what it is.
Yeah, because
But
it's not in hibernation mode yet.
no, but if I go out somewhere, I come back like a few hours later or day after, long day work, and you come back and you turn it on, and it's like screen is like dark gray because it's waiting for the YouTube to load because there's no network. If you open Prime, then it's like freaking in 17 different languages scrolling at you that you don't have internet. Like, fuck. So if I buy that thing, then I'm probably gonna put the gateway in here too, just for the shits and giggles, because I do like the fact of having like to join both rooms on the same button instead of just going to the bathroom or going with the remote. Just the simple things, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, other than that, I'm very happy with this setup. I think it's honestly the best TV I've owned so far from B&O when it comes to acoustics and picture as well. Yeah, there's one of those.
Yeah, it's kind of silly that we now have devices to go the other way.
Right? It almost makes no sense, but yeah, I'd need one from USB that just takes the power. But yeah, I need one from USB to well, not USB. I need a RJ45 to go to the thing, but I guess USB for power.
I think for the most of these it's that. But then you have to have a USB that's always on, and the one in the panel definitely isn't always on.
No. But the one in the theater is.
I mean,
it's more or less.
I have a hard drive attached directly to the TV because we have these like decoder cards that you put in the back for cable, and I can tell when the panel turns the hard drive off because
you hear it.
Yeah, and depending on how it sort of sits on the back, it sometimes touches the back of the screen and then it goes like very softly because it's still spinning Rust, right? So, and when that stops spinning, you can tell, and it's usually a few minutes after turning the panel off.
Interesting. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Tabak now it's gonna show up, no problem. See.
Yeah, well, good. Maybe,
hopefully. Well, I don't think it even turned off the screen because that was pretty quick for a screen to be turned off or turned on.
Yeah, that always ready thing really does work. It sort of just more or less turns your pixels off so you don't burn those out, but there's still a bunch of stuff in the background that keeps on going.
Well, let's keep it going then. Keep it going for the team.
I mean, we can leave it be off for another 8 minutes or so, and we can come back to it because 8 minutes should be plenty of time for it to actually go off, right?
Shut down.
Goodbye, LG.
That's right. I turned off all these goofy logos.
Yeah, it's a thing.
What do you have your picture settings on? Auto power save or no?
No. I have it. Was it ISF Filmmaker? Dark or whatever film? I think the ISF Dark, and then I do have power savings on, but I think they're set to minimum. 90%, 99% sure they're set to minimum. Because if you set them to auto, it tries to dim up and down with the brightness in the room, and it sometimes misses, and it can be quite annoying.
Because I haven't noticed that. I have it on auto power save, and it's like it seems to work well. And I have auto filmmaker mode turned on as well.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm not complaining at all. I mean, it's
no, I'm just curious because like, what's your settings based on the panel you have?
Yeah, it's the ISF. You have the ISF bright room and the ISF dark room. So I use the dark room. Even during the day, it's plenty bright enough. And that's for every input. I use that. And then for Netflix and Disney, they auto switch to Dolby Vision.
There's no more G2 panels, hey? They're
Wait,
gone.
what?
Discontinued.
Already?
Yeah, G3 is on the way probably in a month or so.
Yeah, sure,
We're gonna
but like
we're
that's
gonna be in trouble in the shop because there's none available.
wow.
Hmm
Uh,
I'll
that's
sell
really
mine for
like
double the price.
that's really fast. As in,
Hmm
with every other line that I remember, you could buy it to basically November-ish of the next model year.
Nope, G3s, G2s are done.
I mean, they will. Yeah, I understand. They stop usually around this time. Stop producing them, but with the C1, like that launched in 2021, right? But you could still
Mhm.
buy them in November of 2022. Like, and they were on massive discount around here, obviously, because it's last year's panel 6 months into the new line.
hmm
But they were still basically omnipresent.
Yeah, we don't have panels anymore. We're sold out. It's
Wow.
kind of sucks because the C2s are no good for the theater. They rattle, especially like on a on a floor stand scenario. They just the boards are dancing inside.
Hmm.
I thought about like even taking one of the C2 panels apart. Just take the back panel off. It's a fucking piece of plastic, and reinforce it with something like put either
Yeah, those jelly tab things you put in the back
the
of your.
the I would probably do thermal pads because they're non-conductive and there's no glue on them, right? But they still kind of stick to shit, and just have them because the boards are very close to the back of the chassis. So I would uh I would try that
For science.
for science, bro. Oh my God, I'm gonna have an exciting week because I'm going. I think this week we're going to Ottawa or Quebec, one or the other, Quebec City, and I'm taking apart. I'm switching a video engine on the Avant, which isn't that bad, but I'm also changing the LCD panel on it.
Wait, what? Why?
That's just what was agreed on. So I'm swapping the LCD panel on the fucking Avant Pro. That thing needs to be taken down to basically the last screw.
Yeah, parts.
It is
Like it's
very
hanging
expensive
by the
repair.
frame that the motherboard sits on.
Pretty much on the basic skeleton. That's where the four VESA screws are.
But why? What is there anything wrong with the LCD panel?
No, the
Because
engine
that's
video
the
engine
first
went,
time
and
I've ever heard of it, other than like there was an actual electrical defect in it.
yeah, no, I don't know. To me, like if it works, it works. Like I wouldn't fix it because those panels are good. If it loses backlighting, then it's just the PIM board, which is on the back of the. It's very accessible too, so you can exchange that, and it just
Because it's not like
powers the
those
LED.
LCDs really burn out. Not really. It's not
No,
OLED.
it's well, like if you look at like BeoVision 10s, right? Those burn out because they were still well, they were LEDs, but it was early tech of LEDs. First of all, second of all, like they were just adapting. Like if you look at BeoVision 740s, only the latest versions had LED backlighting. The old ones were called cathode fluorescent tubing, right?
Yeah.
CFCL tubes, just like the old monitors were. But they do lose in brightness. No, I've never seen them being seized. I had no problem because I had taken apart one Avant already because we stripped parts from it and sent some modules back to B&O for credit, and then and I took it down all the way to the skeleton to the display. More or less, also was a good practice for doing it in front of a client at the client's house. But no, they're not seized. That's I would say that's misinformation. Unless you came across somewhere where somebody already had fucked around and they just tightened the tits out of it. But there's not even Loctite in those. Like they are very, very, very. There are small screws. They're about this. Like they are about 5 mil thick, but they're 5 mil tall with a little bushing.
Yeah, and they
Not a
have like
bushing, but
10 Newton meters of torque on them or something.
yeah,
If you
it's
go
not
like
something
that,
crazy.
it's too much.
Yes, it's finger tight. Like it's not gonna rattle off or anything. It never did before. So.
I mean, unless they used aluminium screws in a metal backplate and it was really, really humid for very long. as in years, then I
Mhm.
can see that happening. But
Yeah, that would oxidize. I've seen one place that oxidized the board. Holy shit.
it's equivalent of like just pouring water on the top of it.
I've seen one TV that was back with the Avant that we changed the video board also in it. No, actually, we changed that's the one I changed the glass on. I had never seen so much calcium buildup on the boards.
Well,
Like it was literally,
humidifies with regular water or something.
yeah, it was literally frosted. Like the entire board was white. It looked like you literally dipped it wet into the icing sugar. It was insane. Fuck.
Oh, B&O in my veins.
Oh my god. So yeah, like it was like a toothbrush exercise to just brush off all that stuff off it with the compressed air cans and get it out, clean it out, make it nice. But I tell you, there's no joke.
We're at that time where you need to turn on your TV again.
Okay, let's do it.
Go to YouTube.
Okay, I went to standby now. The light flashed, so it's loading the TV up.
Come on. Come on.
There's the volume. Tabarnak. Is it gonna?
Yeah, man.
Fuck, that's loading. That's like, come on with the suspense, bro. Oh.
Ah, damn
it. Bullshit. Yeah, not connected. There you go. Poof. It takes a while now. Poof. There we go. Now it's YouTube.
It's so weird that you have to. Like, I remember that happening when my Harmony was wireless, and every so often you would just click on it. But usually, if you loaded an app, it would then start to think, hey, I actually have to get on Wi-Fi, and it would do it itself. But that nothing happens unless you manually do it. It's just weird.
No, it does happen, but it takes about 5 minutes to do it.
Yeah, that's
on its
too
own.
long.
Yeah, like I get in the apartment. I have a Beo remote one at the door, right? So I press my button number 2. I press the remote button, right? So the TV wakes up, all that. I take my shoes off, put my jacket away, toss my bag down, and go to the bathroom, come out, and then I hear like, boom, right, that the bloody thing had opened. So
yeah, that's too long.
I don't know. It's too long. Yeah, that sucks. Argentas that you have. It depends where you are. Like obviously, like oceanfront residences, that they're gonna have a lot of salt buildup inside, just by default of that's in the air. But here in Montreal, there's no salt really, other than what they put on the road in the winter.
In Florida, there's going to be some salt, but I'm not living near the beach. I don't want to live near the flood zones.
Like I know
I'll drive to the beach if I have to.
When I was in Dominican, they had to park the helicopters inside the garage because of the salt would just corrode the aluminum and everything over time. Let's go. What is this? Where do I turn this off again now? Where did I have it? Somewhere in here. I'll turn it off later. But yeah, this is
yeah, no, yeah.
It's not working.
Weird.
Let's go to pictures. So what I have filmmaker mode.
Yeah, I have it on the ISF Expert Dark, I think.
Expert bright space, expert dark space. I'd probably go with the bright space because I have a lot of light that washes out.
Well, you're also facing into the sun. Like I have a lot of glass as well, but it's always on the side.
So does the bloody light sensor work with the ISF or no?
I think so.
So we'll see tonight.
Anyway,
bright space daytime.
I'm gonna call it for tonight. Thank you everybody.
That's it, y'all.
Watching, listening, and that sort of thing. Don't forget it'll be up on Substack tonight somewhere probably. We'll be back next week, and that'll be the last for a little bit again. Because by then I'll actually have to get out of here.
So yeah, I'm gonna miss it too, man. It's fun, and then it's like all of a sudden I have nothing to do with myself on Sunday. It's really weird.
Yeah, fingers crossed I can buy a house pretty soon, because then I fly to the Midwest, then drive down with the missus and the cats and stuff, and we actually have a place to stay.
You gonna do that romantic U-Haul drive or just?
Probably, yeah.
Nothing better than sharing some time in in an uncomfortable ass U-Haul van.
Yeah, her mum may tag along with a bunch of her stuff, and if that's the case, then at least we have 3 drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So if you all do 6 hours, then you're there, right? You're there in under a day. But if it's the 2 of you, and if you have to do 9 hours of driving, you start to think, well, we may overnight somewhere.
I would overnight, man. Don't be a hero. I would overnight.
Yeah, but if
Driving
it's the
at
3
night
of
is
us,
bullshit. Yeah, if it's 3 of y'all.
I mean, I don't mind driving at night at all. It's actually kind of, I find it less straining on my eyes, especially in the south.
Mm.
Especially going south as well in near summer, because it's like you're constantly looking into the sun. Anyway,
not for nothing. I would tough it out before I let my mother-in-law drive. That's for damn sure.
It's just highway. It's all straight.
Well, we'll see you next time.
Yeah, like and subscribe and have a good week, everybody. Bye.
Bye.